Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. If you've watched Tao of Twang for a while now, um, back some time ago, there was a series, or sometimes with the weekly lessons, I would mix in these videos called Just Show Me the Licks. And I would number them. I don't remember what number we got up to, and maybe into the 20s or something. So I want to get back into that because along with some of the uh, things that are more of a lesson, visit format where we really talk about different topics and get deeper into the explanations of the theory behind things and so forth. I think it's fun and helpful. Also, sometimes you say, hey, here's a little bit of a backing track, here's the chords, and here's some lick ideas, and just do you, right? That's just such an important part of your overall playing and learning experience. Okay, so I want to really help support that for everybody. I did a lesson in longer format using this progression and some of these licks, improvising over this on Patreon a few days ago. Well, people have really responded to it, and I was kind of like, yeah, I like this progression too. Let's go over to YouTube and do one and just, not get too, heavy about the theory. And if you have questions and stuff, put them in the comments. And also in the comments, let's come up with a new name that we can name this. I don't want to just call it Just Show Me the Licks again, because that might be confusing with the older playlist or something. But something, that we can label this. And, when you name something, you make something out of it like this, it keeps me on track too. Like, oh yeah, let's do another one of those, and maybe I'll number them. So if we come up with something cool in the comments, I'll rename this video um, according to your all's suggestions. Okay. Um, Now let's get right down to it. Um, really like this. I played a little bit of an example there in the intro, and I'll have a few minutes of the backing track at the end here for you to jam with, right? Not going to do a whole lot of discussion on this, but I'm going to show you some moves that you can just put in there, and then you can kind of make your own sense out of them. Or like, oh, okay, I see why that works. That chord tone of that chord matches. And do some of that work yourself. It's not always just, me and others on this side that are kind of like, explaining everything and kind of, sometimes to a tedious degree, right? Because sometimes you don't need to hear all of it. Like, "Ah, I got that, man. Come on, keep it moving." So, I know what that's like from watching the lessons myself on YouTube. Um, so we'll have some videos that have that more conversational, format, more like a lesson, like you came over to the house for a half an hour lesson or something, right? Or online. And then we'll have some where it's just like, hey, here's just some ideas, run with it. All right. So let's get in here and check out our chords. Not going to put the chords up on the screen and all that either. Jot them down if you need to. This is where you know, take the lead, so to speak, in this process, right? I'm just jump starting it for you. Okay. Now there is one thing I'll help you out here with, because every other time around the whole thing, it goes. That's a C sharp dominant 7. Okay, that's one time around. The only difference is instead of going to that C, it alternates with going to an A minor 7, which is basically like a little part of a C triad, right? With an A added to it in the bass, right? It don't even have to give that a whole lot of thought to do what I'm about to show you and have some fun here. But just so you know, if you're like, that's a slightly different sound every other time, that's what that is. And there's some cool, sweet stuff that we can do over that part of the progression in either instance because they're basically made of the same stuff. It's a little piece of the C. If you hadn't really thought about that relationship, that's the relationship of relative and a major and minor right there, C and A minor in this instance. So now, here's some lick ideas. And we're just going to go right down the line. Yep, there was the top of it. Just wait a little bit. Doesn't really matter which one of those alternating versions you start on. Okay, those are the same group of notes. See how there's almost like a different, almost seems like a different lick or note group in different parts of the progression. And when I change my hand, it's almost like gives you the illusion that there's something really different about it. Okay, so that first little bit was okay, same business, two different places. Now that next little piece there was okay, so we went from that major sound of that pure pentatonic to this, putting this G natural in there instead of G sharp all the time. And that's where you get that. That just needs a little micro bend. See, now that goes back to the G sharp, okay? That's kind of cool because you've got this minor pentatonic blues type lick and then it comes back to that, you know, when it hits that E again. And on different chords too, but certainly when it comes back to that resolving E chord, you hit that major third, okay? And the approach I'm using, sometimes I play the root here and then slide. Then you can just go right back. See, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, okay, both for E. So That's kind of the routine here. Just one more thing I want to mention when it goes to this. That chord is outside the key of E in a sense, right? The song's in E and it's part of the song, but that C root is not one of the notes that's in the original E major scale, right? So now that's, and we're not going to go deep into like, how to address that theoretically. But one of the things you can do right away is that look at the chord tones for that C. C, E, G. Well, G natural. Okay, so that's one of the places where you want to, sneak that in there. And you can do that either by playing the note. Doesn't have to be just on that chord, but if you want to really accent that, you can do it. Probably the clearest way to demonstrate it is in this position, right when it goes to that. So it'll either be this one or when and it alternates with that other chord we talked about earlier. Is just bend that a half bend. So sometimes, so you're bending it and experiment with this. It doesn't have to just be at certain places, but when you stumble on that, you're going to know it because that's really going to pop when you hit that matching chord tone with that bend. Let me see if I can get lucky here. Then I'll get you to the backing track. So much fun, I don't want to stop. But I'm going to because I want you to have some fun, right? And hopefully, this was kind of really get you in there. It's not a whole lot to worry about all these different tabs and things or on the timing of everything. This stuff's real liquid. Just get in there and work with it. You'll see how it'll just lay in there and rub nicely in different places. Oh, so there's no end to the way that you could arrange those two or three ideas into extensive soloing over this progression. Leave me some comments and let's name this series, okay? Appreciate you. Talk to you next time.